Now we're going to talk about the bassoon reed. And it's always good to remember that no matter how large or complicated this instrument is, it doesn't make a sound without the reed. So you want to take the time and the energy to find some good reeds. Always better to have 2 or 3 that you alternate. That will all last longer if you alternate reeds. And if you go online and Google Bassoon Reeds, you will be amazed at how many makers there are. Commercial makers, people who make them by hand and just play them in for you and mail them out. But 2 of my favorite makers are, one is Jones Double Reeds, which is also called Diamond Musical Products out of Spokane, Washington. And then if you live in the Twin Cities or in the Minnesota area, you can also get a reed from Laurie Mertz. She makes really lovely reeds, consistent, and always nicely done, balanced well, and they play very well. So those are 2 makers I would recommend. If you go into a store, music store, they often will not let you try the reeds, and that's understandable because you want to make sure that there's safety, that you're not just all trying reeds. But there are certain things you can do to do a visual inspection to make sure that they look good, that they're good right from the get-go. And the first thing you want to do is make sure the wrapping, which is this red thread, it's not always red, it can be different colors, but it's a thread that is sealing the back of the reed. And that needs to be snug, tight, and not moving around. Also the wires. There are wires on the bassoon reed also. And sometimes if the reed's been on the shelf for a while, the wood has shrunk and the wires have gotten loose. So you want to make sure it's a newer reed, and then the wires will be also tight and working. Another thing you can do without actually playing the reed is hold it up to the light, and then you can see if there are any obvious cracks or digs in the wood, and that's also very obviously you want to avoid that because that can happen later on anyway. And then the last thing is make sure that the tip opening is no more than 1/16 of an inch. If the blades are too far apart, they don't vibrate correctly. So you want to make sure the tip opening is 1/16 of an inch or less. So when you get your reed or reeds, the first thing you want to do is soak them in warm water 2 to 3 minutes, and you soak the entire reed because you want to get the inside of the reed also wet. That's going to be part of the vibration that gets amplified by the bassoon. So you want the whole reed to be soaked 2 to 3 minutes, and after you've soaked it that long, you should be able to crow it. And crowing is just playing the reed without the instrument. It helps you determine that your reed is soaked enough. It helps you determine your embouchure is loose enough. And if you ever start making reeds, it helps you determine that it's balanced. So here we go with a crow. It should sound like that. You should have many different pitches, but the dominant one should be about an E flat. So when you try this, see if you can get all those pitches, nice loose embouchure, nothing really tight, and that's the sound you want. So that's the bassoon reed. When you put it away, make sure you put it in a container where it can completely dry out. If you don't, sometimes they get moldy, and then they are not nice to play on. And that will ensure that your reeds last longer also. You should be looking at a new bassoon reed every month or so in order to keep your playing at a higher level. And that's the bassoon reed.